We will call this October 26th Brown County Commission meeting to order. First thing, Mr. Weiss, would you lead us on the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning.
Morning.
First item, approval of the agenda. So moved. Second. Moved by Fikert, second by Sutton to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, we have the second reading, possible adoption of rezone ordinance 203 and 204 to mini ag.
Okay, ordinance 203 filed by Tyler Tampa to change the zoning from chapter 4.06 Agriculture Preservation District to chapter 4.07 Mini Ag District, Lot 1, Hallam First Subdivision in the southeast quarter of Section 12, Township 123 North, Range 62 west of the 5th PM, Brown County, South Dakota, 13191 400th Avenue.
I would move it.
Second.
Moved by Fikert, second by Kipley to approve the adoption of rezone ordinance 203. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Right north of the big city of James.
Okay. Ordinance 204 filed by Ryan Rivet from chapter 4.06 Agriculture Preservation District to chapter 4.07 Mini Ag District, proposed lot 1-17 Rover Horse North First Subdivision in the northeast quarter of Section 4, Township 123 North, Range 63 west of the 5th PM, Brown County, South Dakota, 3261 North, 391st Avenue, approximate.
I'll move it. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss to approve the adoption of ordinance 204. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Jeanette, you want to do just a couple of years? We got a couple minutes here to...
Approved last week's minutes, October 19, 2021.
Move. Second.
Moved by Kipley, second by Sutton, approve the general meeting minutes of October 19th. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Claims and payroll.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Fikert to approve the claims and payroll. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
There's no HR report. Okay. And next is plats.
Move. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss to approve the plats. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Lease.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Fikert, second by Kipley to approve the lease. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Should be everything that we have on that end. Next, we have Ernest Thompson, State's Attorney, and Dave London, Chief Deputy Sheriff, Juvenile Reception Center.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning.
All right. What we're here to talk about is the reception center and / evening reporting center. We understand what we're proposing is going to represent somewhat of an inconvenience and some juggling, but I want to go over some of the logic behind it. The reception center, I've talked to you guys before about, we get these situations where we have a juvenile, doesn't really belong in JDC, juvenile jail. We don't have any other place to put him until some of the other agencies, Department of Social Services, can get involved. And it's a safe environment to place this juvenile for less than 24 hours. The police department has worked with us, the sheriff's department through offering home detention staffing has worked with that. And the next phase of that, and this is where we need space, is to use that space as a reception center for those emergency situations. But then also utilize that space for a reporting center for the programs either through home detention or our juvenile diversion programs. And what we're looking at is basically an evening reporting center where they report, and we offer the programming that we need to actually have an impact on both home detention and juvenile diversion. Some of the topics that we want to be able to address in this evening reporting center added are for juveniles, budgeting, otherwise some of it's called adulting classes, budgeting, resume building, how to write a resume, how to apply for a job, mock interviews, even just regular classes and instruction on healthy eating, social skills, service learning projects, referrals to other services that can come in and utilize this space. As we develop into the diversion, especially juvenile diversion, we're looking at restorative justice programs, the restorative justice circles, where the victim of a crime committed by a juvenile and a juvenile in a facilitated setting exchange the impact both ways. That has shown to really have a big impact on juvenile offenders if they can understand the impact of their actions on others. It provides a space to do the tutoring that's required in home detention, as well as diversion programs. It occupies time after school where otherwise they'd be getting in trouble. It provides a mentoring environment. And one of the biggest struggles we've had is getting community involvement in the juvenile criminal justice system. Well, kind of begs the question, who's going to do all these programming things? Well, we've already talked to NSU. They have graduate students in their criminal justice department and their sociology department that are chomping at the bit. Some of those programs actually require field time, so many hours of field time. Where are they going to get that field time? They struggle to do that. Well, we're saying with giving us a room and we stuff the kids in there, we now have a opportunity for these graduate students to get the field time doing these exact courses and this exact programming that I just went through. Presentation College also has some students that need internships. One of the things I didn't mention is the 4-H club. It gives an avenue for 4-H programs to these same home detention juveniles, these same diversion juveniles. So it's custom made to get that community involvement into the criminal justice system. The Aberdeen Police Department is very supportive of this and has offered to divert some resources into setting this up. The Sheriff's Department is very interested in building this program, again because we think it can have an impact on the community and the juveniles in the community. So, here comes the inconvenient part.
We've been waiting.
I gotta rub some sugar on it, right?
When does that start?
Put a little honey on it.
Where we're looking at is currently the office occupied by the Veterans Affairs Office. What we're proposing is that the HR office move to a vacant office in the basement, the veterans move to the HR office, and the space currently occupied by the veterans then would be modified into the reception center and reporting center. The reasoning behind that is its location. One, it's right across from the bathrooms. It'd be relatively cost efficient to take that hallway right at the end and put one of those expandable portable gates across it, thereby blocking off the rest of the courthouse. But they can still get up and go to the bathroom. And should anything happen, should we have a security concern and with the cameras that would be set up and the buttons that would be set up. Response time from JDC and the sheriff's office, the jail, is right there. It's right in the same vicinity. So that location is the ideal location to utilize this room and also accommodate for safety and get all those great, wonderful, sweet benefits that I just went over.
Well, the thing I love about the idea, I'm totally on board with evening report center, reception center. It's something that this area needs.
Desperately.
Towns of similar size and those bigger, I mean, Sioux Falls Rapid, they've done it for a long time, but even Davison County, Mitchell, Watertown, they're going this way because a lot of these kiddos, they don't need to be in the JDC. And so I applaud the efforts that all these folks that are bought into this idea have come together and come up with a solution, so I think we do need to explore it. And the beauty of it is, a lot of times it's not an increase in budget, it's just a reallocation of funds. Because right now, the last numbers we got from the home detention program, is it full-time, we have 3 people in there, or is it only 2 right now? They're authorized for 3 employees.
Employees, yes, we have 3 full-time.
3 full-time employees, and then some part-time, I believe, to fill in, right?
Correct.
And there was only 4 kids on there in the last numbers, because the other ones were in JDC. So to have some type of mechanism where these kids, if they don't need to be in there, can just have some really tight supervision right after school, that 4 to 8, that's a critical time for those kids. So I like the idea. I'm not quite sold on the spot for it yet, but I do appreciate all this. And is there any way before we go disrupt, 2 other departments and move it, can we try it anywhere else? Can we do the basement so we don't have to move on a temporary basis to make sure it's going to work before we move everybody around, and then?
We have thought about that. One of our issues is with the JDAI program, these kids have to be able to leave. Everything's locked. And for us to keep that many doors unlocked in order to put them downstairs would be a safety issue for the rest of the area, because of it being the jail and the sheriff's office. We have to have those locked. We can't unlock all of those. But the kids have to have the opportunity in most cases, we hate to use the term of escape, but that they want to leave, they can leave. Whether we grab them once they get out and do something else with them is a different story. That's completely different, but we have to give them that opportunity to leave. So that's why we didn't go in the basement, because we felt there would be some space in the basement, just not practical. When we thought about where, we didn't take it lightly, and I know I sent you guys a letter, and the reason we did there was because of all the services so close. Everything is close, everything's right there that we need. If we do need for a kid that needs to be there for up to 24 hours, we have places, places for them to lay down, sleep. We have food. We have blankets, we have everything we need right there in one small location without having to have another storage area. We can bring them from the jail or JDC quickly, easily, and take care of all of their needs in such a small little area. And that's why we have to keep it on that main floor for them to leave, and also to be able to be close to the jail and JDC in order to offer the services we need to offer.
Would it be, how would I say it, a benefit or a negative as far as the veterans, for the simple fact that now when they come in, they got to go through security?
Correct.
Are those individuals that are coming into VA, is it necessary? In other words, then they'd be coming through the main part of the courthouse here. They wouldn't be coming through security.
In my opinion, I think it's a benefit, because they don't have to go through security, and while they're here at the VA,
that's my question.
If you sit and watch, they finish up with the VA, they go out, they walk back around to get their license plates to do their other county business, and here they come in, they visit the VA, and they're in the same side of the building with any other county business that they need to take care of.
I would think it'd be more convenient with the handicap accessibility, access to the Register of Deeds, which I know they have to access occasionally. Everything is right here,
I
And
would-
for a lot of those people, having to walk even the length of the sidewalk is an inconvenience, so I think it's a logical
I wouldn't think
logical
it'd be a
location.
security issue that any of those those individuals coming in for services from VA would need to go through
No,
security.
no, but with the way court security is up, it's all or none. So that's why,
That's my
since
point.
they're going, we have to.
Exactly.
And many times when they do wanna do their license plates, our people escort them through, but once they're on this side, they can't get back. They gotta go out this door and all the way around, and then they always park over in the city parking lot. So, and there's a few of them that shouldn't be walking that
That's
far.
quite a truck for 'em, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
especially
know
in the
that
winter.
there's adequate room in the HR department for 2.5 employees. I don't think you can put the veteran assistant secretary and the part-time, I don't think there's room in that HR for 2.5 employees. I mean, if you look at how it's made, it's so long and narrow, and there's one area there, and there's a small area there, where are you gonna put the third person? I mean, I don't know, that would be my concern, is I don't know that that's a fit. My other concern would be is, you talk about housing juveniles, what happens if you have male and female? They have to be split, is there gonna be an area that veterans offers that you can split male and females if there's,
Not for reception.
It's not overnight.
Yeah.
well, they talked about making a cot or a bed or something, what?
There are some that we will have to, if they have no other place to go, we will have them in there. They will be monitored by a minimum of 2 people, and in the veterans, there is enough room to separate them so they're not close to each other. But the chances of having 2 in there under those circumstances at any one time is pretty limited.
Yeah, the reception concept for where we're holding somebody until we can find other placement happens, we had one last night that we were dealing with, but every 2 months to 6 weeks, we have somebody where we need, the last 2 have been about 8 to 10 hours, where we need a safe environment for a short duration of time.
And if that's all we were doing, we were originally setting this up, so you guys are all caught up to speed, is that we were originally setting this up, we were gonna just set those kids up into the, break room for the state's attorney's office, but since we have so much support with Northern and PC to be able to man this daily reporting center now, which we couldn't do it with our full-time people completely. There's no way to do that many days with the people we have all the time, but with our partnerships with Northern and PC, and the cost, there isn't any cost, that's part of their schooling, it helps us man that amount of time that we need for nothing. And the cost associated with this center is fairly low. We gotta put some cameras in, obviously, we'd have to put some type of a barrier up, maybe a TV and a refrigerator for some water, but other than that, it's fairly low cost to get it started. And since we have these partnerships, that's one of the reasons we're coming to you. We have a lot of people that are on board right now.
Of course, I have to mention this, the underlying cause of this is we've outgrown the room we have. So, again, bringing up maybe the possibility of other facilities down the road. We're in this pickle because we simply are trying to maximize the highest and best use out of the small room that we have. Quick little plug for a new jail.
Is the veteran assistant Aaron Wahlberg, is he aware of the ongoing possibility of this?
Is now.
It probably is now.
Yeah, and I guess and then that leads back to what
I'm sure your phones will be ringing shortly.
Commissioner Belland was talking about, as to what the room is over there. I mean, that all leads into that, you know. As far as putting Erica down in the basement, well, there's room down there.
I think she's okay with it.
Little inconvenient when she's here.
I guess a clear understanding of
Yeah.
what the atmosphere looks like with these kids. They're not, like you said, locked up. They gotta be able to come and go. They're not usually your violent folks. They made dumb mistakes. Sometimes first-time offenders, sometimes, you know, alcohol, drugs.
They're,
And-
they're needing these services because they don't belong in JDC, which,
Right. And Judge Porter's been really good about kind of identifying who the good, you know, the kids for these programs would be. So if he were to go ahead and say, okay, you've got 4 weeks of evening report center, they get dropped off or they drive here, they come in. And I guess that's the one thing that it's an exciting opportunity for us to help these kids like this. I'm wondering why the basement can't be used, because that's the same in and out. It's a little bit less,
No, there's a lot of doors. There's a
But we-
lot of locked doors.
locked, so they don't have access to that. They would be in the part that we want them in, and then we
Now,
can
this-
open
this
the
is
doors.
a
Right,
and
but they
leave.
have to be able to leave.
Right.
They have to be able to leave, but
This is a
all our
fairly
side,
nice-
there's door after door after door that's locked because of being part of the
But I mean,
jail.
so we got teen court going down there already with some of our
You're down here,
teenagers.
though.
Yep, and so that's why I'm like, is there a spot there, whether it be the north end or the south end, where the EM offices and now teen court are? Plus you have depending on how many you have that have to report, it's not gonna be a huge number, I don't imagine, but, you know, whether it's 5 to 10 at the most, you've got your community room for the northern people, you know, you do your classroom style seating, and I guess I'm completely on board, it's just the location is what I'm concerned about. Before we disrupt those 2 offices, I just wanna make sure.
Also, you will have to remember though, if we did it downstairs and you're looking at every day, are those rooms gonna be available and locked off every single day, or are we gonna be able to work, because we can't, if we're gonna set something up, we can't really disrupt our daily pattern, otherwise these kids it's so important to keep them on a schedule. If we had a big meeting downstairs, or you had one side, which happens a lot, we're gonna disrupt those kids. Then what do we do with them? Where do we move them to once you have a big meeting, or even multiple small meetings? Or are we just not gonna allow people to have meetings down there so that we can have everything set up all the time? And the other part is, same as I mentioned, is the reason we pick over there, and it's just, we have all the resources there. If somebody does get really disruptive, somebody does start assaulting somebody, just even though they're normally not violent, but they turn violent, we have resources right there, quickly, to where, if you've ever been into a fight, 2 and 3 minutes is like an hour and a half. And it could take all of that for somebody to get from the other side of the building to downstairs, to get through locked doors. So, that might
not
be
with Dave's background, but just reading the aftermath and watching the videos of it on the prosecution side, by 2 or 3 minutes, the damage that's gonna happen has already been done.
So logistically, how are you gonna have access to the people that are gonna staff that? And
Right now, we're looking at, we have 2 different options, but one of the best options we think is the side door by the State's Attorney's Conference Room, getting them to come around that hallway. We only have to deal with really one indoor and then one around the corner. Yes, it's kind of a little longer than we'd like, but it's doable. It's almost like cattle gates, they really can't go anywhere. They have to follow their way and get in there. During the day, if it's open earlier, we can have them come around the other way too. To the court.
So folks are gonna have staff that are gonna have to have fob to get in if they're gonna be on their own, and so you're gonna have to manage that and scheduling.
Yes,
You're gonna have some of that wherever you're at.
correct. No matter where it is, yeah, you're gonna have those issues to deal with. Those are our thoughts to be able to make this a reality. I don't know,
And I
unless you have
guess
some other
maybe
questions.
going forward, as Rachel said, this is an exciting concept and opportunity for us to provide services, to do better for juveniles, and to solicit community involvement all at the same time. We just need to solve the logistical problem of space.
Are those partners gonna be able to have people throughout the summer as well, when they don't have regularly scheduled classes, or?
We're not quite there yet.
Okay.
We may end up having to have more of our own staff do some of that.
Partner with Northeastern Mental Health or someone, or?
And they've been involved in this as
Right.
well.
Northeastern Mental Health has been involved.
Yes.
You know, that thought went through my mind too, other than the distance. I mean, they'd probably have a room over there that would be, but how do you,
If somebody were to become disruptive, that's my main concern with there, then you're dealing with the same 911 response time to get assistance there, and then the same resources that David had mentioned as well.
these, potential interns or whatever, either from presentation or from NSU, would they have to go through any kind of training or anything like that in order to be in?
We've talked to both Presentation College, NSU, and Northeastern Mental Health, and yes, there is a training aspect that would be one of the phases, is all of them in a classroom, being trained up to get to the
This is what
point
you're
that-
gonna have to do,
yeah,
or
this
what
is
you'll
what
be
you're gonna have to do,
responsible
this is
for,
how
or
you do it.
whatever, you know.
Right. And then our people would do the coordinating. I mean, the full-time staff would make sure that we have the right people or the right numbers, and coordinating that through our Home D.
You're gonna have to have some sort of an assessment and a program on, what you're gonna do and who's gonna do it.
Correct.
Well, I think the biggest problem, biggest concern in this whole thing is just upsetting everybody.
We
Well,
don't
and
come
everything
here
else.
lightly understanding
No.
what we're asking for.
I think we'd have to see that if Veterans Office fits in that company over there, because I don't think they're gonna fit. And you surely can't put them downstairs.
Right, no.
No.
No, we agree with that very much.
So that would be the issue I see, is that, that one office is pretty small over there. There isn't much room. It's a long, more hallway than it is anything. And you're gonna have 3 people over there. I don't know that, how you're gonna make that work over there.
Right, and they have a need for confidential conversations within the office pretty frequently and that type of thing, so.
That would be what we'd have to look at, is to see if that would even be viable to try to move them there, because that would be the only spot I think we have available on the main floor, would be that spot.
Mark and Dave have got offices they could give up.
Who does?
Mark and Dave.
Wherever. We do also have the
We're looking at
to
options.
the end, but that's not huge. Behind registered fees and the access is a little poor.
Very, yeah. Food for thought. I'm sure there's gonna be more discussion to follow.
The other thing is your internships, they're gonna be seasonal. All these people will leave when school, some will stay at their internship. I guess that would be my concern, is the internships, how stable are they gonna be once these people agree to do an internship? Are they here today and going back to Iowa where they live and when it's over with? Or, I guess I'd like to know more about how the internship would work out as far as these colleges providing this.
Well, the nice thing is they'd be able to schedule this 6 months to a year ahead of time. They'd know who students now, and Porter's pretty good about, seasonally knowing, okay, if it's summer, I can't really put them here in this program. Or, the YMCA and the Yapatorium, a lot of the city entities have been really good community partners, and they don't want this housed there permanently, but I think they'd be open to, okay, these 2 days we're gonna meet here for this session, or, different things that are options too. And you gotta remember, a lot of times you get these groups of kids who are getting in trouble together, they're having to go to the reception center. You have to alternate days because they can't have contact with each other a lot of times. Like, let's say they got together, did drugs or something like that, and so you'll have to have one on Tuesday, Wednesday, and one on, Monday, Thursday, or something like that.
And some of the programming, especially in graduate programs, they use their summer to get that field work that they need in the school years. Their classwork in the summer is when they get the field work for their graduate degrees.
Well, they'll come at us.
We just figured we had to present you with the most logical option for the least amount of input, money, actually. There's going to be, if this were to go together, we understand there's disruption, a lot of disruption, but the actual monetary costs here are actually very minimal. And that's one of the reasons we looked at those things too, so that there wasn't a huge investment by the county, or we're coming here asking for tons of money. That's not what we're asking for. The PD has been willing to provide a lot of those things that are going to be costing money, because they know they can't provide the manpower just because of the situation. We provide that along Northern FPC, and they support us, and that's pretty important.
It's just cracking the nut of the logistical, physical space that works. So we know we're not asking lightly for this, but we also want to start thinking through the process so we can actually implement beyond the discussion phase.
It's important to note that this is, as important as this is, it's a small component of the bigger issue, the fact that our juvenile detention center itself is woefully inadequate.
This is another symptom of not having enough space and facilities
Right.
to adequately address the
Mhm.
changing criminal justice system environment.
Both current and future needs.
Correct.
There's quite a bit of
Absolutely.
value, quite a bit of
Absolutely.
value.
Current and
keeping-
future needs. It comes back to, again, the problem is a symptom of the greater issue that we're also working on to address.
There's a lot of value in keeping one kid out of the juvenile detention.
Where we at with our assessment
Back
on
out
our
where they
jail
belong.
project?
Contract's been signed.
Last time I talked to them, their target date is before the end of the year to have a report in front of you. And they'll be here. They'll come and answer questions.
That would also play into what we're trying to do here also. Because depending on what they come up with, could change what our aspect of what we're gonna do with juvenile detention. That's where I was going with that, because I mean, I have no idea what their plan is. I mean, I don't think any of us know what they're gonna come up with, but it'd be interesting to see what they have before we start disrupting two offices when they have a plan that may work for us. I mean, I don't have any idea what they're gonna come up with, but
As part of their assessment, to be visiting with us. I hope and expect.
I guess I don't know the answer to that question. We gave them the problem and they're just looking at a solution. I don't know.
But you know,
I have to talk to them again here soon, so I'll ask them.
Okay, because I would expect to have a conversation with them before they do a final report about some of the history, because I was involved, and you were here, when we had talked about, a juvenile service center. That's why we owned the property across the street to begin with, where we attempted an opt-out that would have had secure facilities, just exactly what you're talking about for services, on a regional basis for juveniles. The way we're gonna fund it, we did manage to get a special appropriation when they were doing that from the feds for programming, but it's not for brick and mortar, and we attempted an opt-out in order to fund that 20-plus years ago, and
I remember
turned down pretty specifically.
now, Commissioner Fishback and I actually had a sit-down meeting in one of the rooms out at the Holiday Inn with Governor Janklow, and the conversation was about a regional juvenile detention in the northeast part of the state, and we never went anywhere. That was the end of it right there. And, but I guess even, you're probably still looking at least 2 years out, best case scenario, after the study. I mean, regardless of what happens, you're looking at a minimum of 2 years out.
Right.
Before.
Absolutely, we would still be in this position here of trying to, we don't want to wait 2 years, especially right now. Me and Dave are here today because right now we have a lot of energy generated at the police department, at NSU, at presentation, at Northeastern Mental Health. That energy will evaporate quickly if we say, everybody loves the idea, we'll call you back in 2 years. Then that energy from the rest of the community towards this will be gone.
Okay.
So we're here to kind of strike while the iron is hot, for lack of a better term, while we have a lot of energy built up from the community to move towards these services for the juveniles. And again, like I said, we're in this position because it's a symptom of the greater problem of needing facilities to represent the time frame that we're in.
Well, I think we all agree on the idea. We have to mill over if this is feasible to move two departments, and I think that's something we'll have to look at and say, hey, is there room to put veterans over there, because like Mike had stated, a lot of their conversations have to be confidential, and I don't know that that can be done in that room. I guess that's something we have to look at. I don't, you know, I basically know how the veterans is set up now, but I guess we'd have to see if that would be feasible to even try to make it work over there. If that doesn't work, then we got a problem, because we're also gonna put veterans, we can't go downstairs with them.
Well, it sounds like a conversation with Aaron and with Judy and with Erica about logistics and expense to do whatever minimal, hopefully remodeling might be necessary if it's feasible and acceptable by all.
Include Dave in that, and
Well,
include
let Dave facilitate it.
a physical.
Got nothing else to do.
A physical walkthrough, a site walk. As we're having that discussion, go walk the site, go walk
Right.
the different rooms downstairs, the veterans office, walk where HR is currently housed, go look at the spaces downstairs and actually have that discussion of how we can best utilize what we have, highest and best use
Mhm.
of the facilities we currently have.
Sounds like a potentially viable solution. Go make it happen.
Okay, well, I think that's the plan, we have to evaluate that situation. I think we're on board with that part, we just have to see if it's gonna fit with the three departments, yours,
If all the pieces of the puzzle
HR.
can fit some way, but,
You've opened the bottle.
Okay.
well, it's the only way we can look at it.
That's all right.
So,
Gotta
thank
start
you guys.
somewhere.
Appreciate what you're doing with it.
Thank
you.
Thanks for bringing it to us. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Next, have any public comment or anything else to come before the commission? I believe Erica needs an exec for personnel. I would entertain a motion to go into exec.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss to go into exec for personnel. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are in exec. We are out of exec, no action as a result. Anything else to come before the commission?
Where are we at on the burn ban? Did we,
Mine's in here.
we,
Probably should put that on the agenda for next week.
seems like we get things going and then we kind of just let them slide and don't.
Well, when the fire danger isn't here, we don't hear anything, so we don't do anything.
The ordinance he's presenting or gonna present, we probably need to go over that.
Okay.
So that's what it's gonna be about, so put him on the agenda then for next week.
I'd just like to get it finalized so we're ready for the next dry spell.
Okay.
It'll come.
Do we need to pass around a sheet for, commissioner activity? Because we got that luncheon.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about 11:30, right?
Is that today?
Yeah.
I'm probably not gonna get there.
That's the League of Women Voters?
Yeah. Probably.
We're selling cows, I gotta get home and load cows.
6, 9, so you can have 12 minutes and I'll take my 3.
Yeah, right.
You're
Thanks.
vice chair.
The beauty is, a lot of times, department heads talk a lot of times.
Well, just if somebody gets if they're curious as to where I'm at, tell them we're selling cows today.
We'll tell them.
Yeah,
Yep, give them my
they gotta be loaded.
regrets too, but.
I have no regrets.
You lie and you're not even good at it. Right.
Miss out on a good chow mein casserole for lunch.
I gotta figure out a way to get money put together to pay taxes,
You have to sign on it.
which is due the first.
You haven't done that yet?
Me neither.
Why would I wanna do that?
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Fikert, second by Sutton to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.